What's up, everybody? Ron Placone here reporting for Status Coup, and we have some breaking news for you. First of all, real quick, I know I have a little facial hair going. It's because my niece, who is 9 months old, or wait, no, she's 10 months old now. All right, it's not that important. But my niece, who is approximately 10 months old, she likes facial hair. So I got to see my niece this weekend. So I grew out my facial hair a little bit because she likes to grab it. So I was like, Uncle Ron better grow some facial hair for her to grab onto. But here's the breaking news, everybody. Ron DeSantis. Jake Tapper tweeted this. Sources tell me Governor Ron DeSantis is about to suspend his presidential campaign imminently. All right, Ron DeSantis, this is in reference to a video that Ron DeSantis just dropped about, I think as of the recording of this, about 17 minutes ago. So let's go right to it. Let's just rock this video right now. Here we go. You guys ready? Boom.
The warmth of being home is a
Here
reminder.
we go.
Greetings from Florida. The warmth of being home is a reminder why I've chosen public service, from joining the United States Navy and serving in Iraq to representing the people in the U.S. Congress, and now serving as governor of Florida. And it reminds me why I decided to run for president, to fight for those who have been forgotten in this country. This is America's time for choosing. We can choose to allow a border invasion, or we can choose to stop it. We can choose reckless borrowing and spending, or we can choose to limit government and lower inflation. We can choose political indoctrination, or we can choose classical education. These choices are symptoms of the underlying struggle to ensure that constitutional government can endure and that Western civilization can survive. And we launched this campaign to bring accountability to government, regain sovereignty at our border, and restore sanity to our society. We cannot succeed as a country if we allow our nation to be invaded, our currency to be debased, our cities to crumble, and our kids to be indoctrinated. The DC elites who facilitated this mess do not care about you, and they do not work for you. They work for themselves. They seek to accumulate power at your expense to pursue an agenda that is harmful to the American people. Citizens do not serve politicians. It is the duty of politicians to serve you. Talk is cheap. Actions speak louder than words. Reversing the decline of this nation requires leadership that delivers big results for the people we are elected to serve. I have a record of leading with conviction, championing an agenda marked by bold colors, delivering on my promises, and defeating the people who are responsible for our nation's decline. That is the type of leadership we need for all of America. Now, over the past many months, Casey and I have traveled across the country to deliver a message of hope that decline is a choice and that we can, in fact, succeed again as a nation. Nobody worked harder, and we left it all out on the field. Now, following our second place finish in Iowa, we've prayed and deliberated on the way forward. If there was anything I could do to produce a favorable outcome, more campaign stops, more interviews, I would do it. But I can't ask our supporters to volunteer their time and donate their resources if we don't have a clear path to victory. Accordingly, I am today suspending my campaign. I'm proud to have delivered on 100% of my promises, and I will not stop now. It's clear to me that a majority of Republican primary voters want to give Donald Trump another chance. They watch his presidency get stymied by relentless resistance, and they see Democrats using lawfare this day to attack him. Well, I've had disagreements with Donald Trump, such as on the coronavirus pandemic and his elevation of Anthony Fauci. Trump is superior to the current incumbent, Joe Biden. That is clear. I signed a pledge to support the Republican nominee, and I will honor that pledge. He has my endorsement because we can't go back to the old Republican guard of yesteryear, a repackaged form of warmed over corporatism that Nikki Haley represents. The days of putting Americans last, of kowtowing to large corporations, of caving to woke ideology are over. I thank all of our passionate supporters who have stood by us through it all. That we had people volunteer to come to Iowa in the middle of a blizzard to knock on doors and make phone calls touched us dearly. No candidate had more thrown at him, but no candidate had so many committed volunteers and staff. Finally, I want to thank my wife, Casey, and our kids, Madison, Mason, and Mamie. Casey's gone far above and beyond in her support for our campaign and for our cause. She's not only a great wife and mother, She's a great American who cares deeply about the future of the country that our kids will inherit. Our kids have seen and done a lot on the trail, from playing on the famed Field of Dreams baseball site in Iowa to making their first snowman in New Hampshire. They are one of the reasons we fight so hard for what we believe in. Winston Churchill once remarked that success is not final, failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. While this campaign has ended, the mission continues. Down here in Florida, we will continue to show the country how to lead. Thank you and God bless.
Okay. Well, first of all, just from the election standpoint here, for those wondering, yes, Ron DeSantis did finish second in Iowa. So you might be thinking, well, gee, if he finished second, why is he suspending his campaign? He was 30 points behind Donald Trump, so he took a look at that and just said, look, I don't really have a path forward. He is throwing his support behind Donald Trump, which is not surprising. And I got to say this, just as a whole, I hope that someday the American people as a whole realize the bullet that they just dodged. I highly doubt that will be the case. But some of you who know me, you know that I consider Ron DeSantis the most dangerous person in American politics. That is saying a lot. That's saying an awful lot. Considering, I mean, Donald Trump. I mean, look, Donald Trump is repulsive beyond comprehension. In no way am I trying to in any way sanitize Donald Trump. He is repulsive beyond measure. But Ron DeSantis, I mean, look, the biggest difference, Ron DeSantis is a competent fascist. Donald Trump is a narcissistic buffoon fascist. If you could have a competent one or a narcissistic buffoon one, gee, the competent one's going to be more dangerous. That's all I'm saying. And Ron DeSantis, boy, I'm breathing a little bit of relief right now. Not much, because look what's on the horizon. I mean, it's not like, oh man, DeSantis is out of the way. Now there's just Nikki Haley and Donald Trump and Joe Biden over on the other side. I mean, don't you just love you just have Ron DeSantis, Donald Trump, Nikki Haley. Then on the other side, you have democracy's on the ballot. P.S. We're not having a primary. But there is a little bit of relief that Ron DeSantis, I mean, just look at what Ron DeSantis is. By the way, getting back to this video, Ron DeSantis has really mastered the fake populist rhetoric. He's really mastered it, doing the whole the DC elites don't speak for you. Politicians are supposed to serve the people. I'm a public servant. He is a DC elite. And he has a fascistic theocratic agenda to the nth degree. He is banning books. He is trying to eliminate transgender people out of existence. He is pushing forth totally fascistic policies under the guise of parental concern. You really look into what that Don't Say Gay bill is all about. It is brutal legislation. He is brutal when it comes to the border. And imagine, just look at what he's doing in Florida. Imagine if he could do that on a national scale, on a federal scale. You think that guy would ever see a war he didn't like? This is the guy who giggles about torture. But he has the fake populist rhetoric down, and a lot of people buy it. A lot of people, there's going to be people in the comments of this video like, what are you talking about, Ron? Ron DeSantis is more reasonable. No, he isn't. He just has the faux populist rhetoric down. Keep in mind, guys, right-wing populism is not real. It's an oxymoron. It's phony. They hijacked the concept of populism and turned it on its head. Read Thomas Frank's book, The People Know, that talks about what populism really is. Right-wing populism, it's like saying wet fire. It's not a thing, but they've completely reassessed what populism means. So now it's a term that is in our zeitgeist, and not just nationally, all around the world. And it's completely phony. And Ron DeSantis and politicians like him, they're really good at running with that football. So I am a little bit relieved right now that he is out of the picture for 2024 at least. It would be, I think that Ron DeSantis, should he ever find his way into the White House, and it is possible someday, obviously not in 24, but it is possible someday. I think he would be the most dangerous president we've ever had. I think he would even be more dangerous than Bush. And I know that's saying a lot. I know that's saying a lot. It's like, Rod, are you saying he's more dangerous than Mitch McConnell? Yeah. Yeah. And there's a lot. I mean, there's danger on both sides too. Both sides of the Wall Street sponsored coin, Team R and Team D. Pete Buttigieg is a very dangerous legislature. Nancy Pelosi, Joe Biden himself. So, is this a cause for some big celebration? Well, not really, because you look at what else is out there. But I personally do feel a little bit of relief. Because if I had to pick what is the absolute worst case scenario for the White House in 2024, Ron DeSantis, absolute worst case. And now that worst case is not going to happen. So there is a bit of relief there. And I'm surprised he's bailing this early. He must really see the cards on the table that there's no way he could just overtake Trump's base. And I think he also knows that he's splitting Trump's base. Because here's what's happening, and we've talked about this. Donald Trump is talking crazier and crazier now, even crazier than where he started. Why is he doing that? Well, because he knows that for some of his base, he's not crazy enough for them. And they're the ones going over to DeSantis. They're going over to DeSantis because they're like, Donald Trump's not wacky enough for us. This guy's wacky enough for us because we look at what he's actually doing in Florida. This is the level of wacky we want. So they're going over to DeSantis. So Trump was like, oh, I better up my crazy sound. So now he's giving speeches that would make Goebbels blush. And DeSantis is like, well, he's tearing too much of that base back. I can't overcome that, at least not right now. So DeSantis is bailing, putting his weight behind Trump. So he might get some kind of favorable position should Trump win again. DeSantis is always a couple steps ahead. The guy, again, that's why I say the guy is so dangerous. He is incredibly competent. He knows how to play the political game. And a lot of people don't see through the guy. A lot of people on all sides, by the way. There's people on the left that don't fully see through him. There's people in the center that fully, I mean, God knows the MSNBC liberals don't see through him. They're just Trump. They don't think he's anywhere close to as dangerous as Trump. So, yeah, the guy knows what he's doing. I am relieved that he will not see the White House in 2024, at least not as president. But I'll tell you, we haven't seen the last of the guy. Well, I mean, obviously, Florida hasn't seen the last of the guy. He's still their governor. So, little bit of relief. But, oh boy, this guy, in the long run, ain't going anywhere. And speaking of going places, you can go see my movie. How's that for a transition? There's going to be screenings of my movie Left at Wall and some shows coming up. February 22nd, my movie will be screening in Tucson, Arizona. February 29th, Omaha, Nebraska. March 20th, my movie will be screening in Washington, D.C., and that's a free screening. You lucked out, Washington, D.C. March 22nd, I'll be doing a show and a screening and a Q&A in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. April 14th, I'm doing a show, a screening, and a Q&A, and members of the cast are also going to be doing stand-up sets. Lineup will be announced soon, and that's going to be in Los Angeles, California. You can get tickets and more information for all those events at romplacone.com. And right here on Status Coup, our new vertical series, Frank Azzurri, is premiering on January 30th. That's a short film that myself and my co-creator, Andrew Saxena, made. It premiered in Rome, Italy in October, and now we're making a web series for you right here on Status Coup. The first episode drops January 30th, and we're going to do an 8-episode first season. Can't wait for y'all to see that. Again, romplacone.com for shows and tickets. And this is Ron Placone reporting for Status Coup, signing out.